As I'm sure you guys have all heard, Donald Trump has been indicted. So he is set to turn himself in on Tuesday, I think is what he's supposed to do. He hasn't been arrested yet, and they're going to have to take they're probably not going to handcuff him or anything like that, but they are going to have to take the mug shots. They're going to have to take his fingerprints, all that stuff. He's going to have to be processed just like any other common criminal, and it is about goddamn time. I'm very happy with that. I'm actually surprised that it's happening, to be honest. I'm very surprised because I kind of thought that Alvin Bragg is what his name is, district attorney. I thought the reason basically why he wasn't pulling the trigger on this was because he wanted to avoid a political shitstorm, which of course would happen, right? And also, you got to remember that there is a very high possibility that Donald Trump gets off. We have to remember that. There's very, very, very likely he's going to get off without any sort of punishment at all. He'll be found innocent or whatever, right, when it goes to trial. Because it's not possible for Donald Trump to get a fair trial. It's just not possible, right? Because he's an ex-president, and whatever jury you find, there's not you're not going to be able to find a jury that is impartial. And there's actually a very large chance that some people who get selected for that jury will lie, say they're impartial, so that they can get on that jury, so that they can acquit Donald Trump. That's something else you got to look out for, right? So we may even find that actually. I wouldn't be surprised, for example, if that were to happen, if Donald Trump were to be acquitted, and then 10 years from now, someone in an interview, one of the jurors comes out in an interview and finds out like that he's like a super giant mega MAGA chud, or that they find photos of one of them at a Trump rally, shit like that, right? That's a very high possibility. So the chances of them getting a conviction are very high, right? Um, I'm reading things saying that he wouldn't even go to prison anyway, which is bullshit. Donald Trump should go to prison for this, right? I mean, if it was anybody else that'd go to prison, Michael Cohen went to prison for it, so how come Donald Trump won't? There's a very big chance that even if he's convicted, he just gets a fine, which is still bullshit, right? So this won't be. But here's the thing about this, right? Why does any of that matter, right? I mean, did he break the law or didn't he? It looks like he. I mean, we all know he fucking did it. We know he did it, right? If he didn't do it, then that means Michael Cohen went to prison for something that he didn't do either. How come Michael Cohen went to prison and Donald Trump didn't, right? And if Donald Trump's innocent, that means Michael Cohen is owed, you know, possibly millions of dollars for false imprisonment. So which one is it, right? Now here's the thing, right? Let's talk a little bit about, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but let's kind of go over exactly what exactly is he indicted for, right? Because we all know that okay, it's the Stormy Daniels thing, it's the hush money thing, right? But he has been charged with 33 different charges, which are still under seal, right? The indictment is under seal now, so we don't exactly know what it is. So I'm thinking that in addition to the Stormy Daniels thing, right, that there's some financial fraud going on in there, right? Because you got to remember that there was a multi-year investigation into the Trump, um, the Trump organization for financial fraud that the New York District Attorney, the former New York District Attorney before Alvin Bragg, was ready to pull the trigger on, and apparently they already signed the indictments and everything, and all they had to do was file them, and then they fucking pumped the brakes on it, right? And so I'm guessing, because there's no way that there's 33 different charges just relating to Stormy Daniels, right? So There's probably all of that shit going on too, right? But we don't know what that actually is yet. We do know that the Stormy Daniels thing is among those 33 charges, right? So, what exactly happened with Stormy Daniels, right? Because I actually got it wrong in a previous the last time we talked about this. I actually got it incorrect, and what I said was not correct, and I kind of want to like clear that up. So, what I said before was this, right? That Trump, of course, bangs Stormy Daniels while his wife had just given birth to young Barron, right? And then what happened was that what I said happened where I was incorrect. I said that Michael Cohen, at the direction of Trump, then paid off Stormy Daniels with $130,000. And where I got it incorrect last time is that I said that Trump then did not pay Michael Cohen back and stiffed him, right? And that amounted to an illegal campaign contribution, and I was incorrect there. He did reimburse Michael Cohen, right? But he reimbursed him with campaign funds. So that's what it was. So basically, he basically that's illegal. You're not allowed to use your campaign to pay off your mistress like that through your lawyer, right? So that's when Michael Cohen went to prison for making an illegal campaign contribution, right? Because that's like, that's illegal. And then Donald Trump would go to jail for using campaign funds, right? In order to, do personal business. So when you have a campaign like that, you're supposed to only be able to, like the law says, you can only spend the money on the campaign. You're not supposed to be able to do stuff like take your campaign money and then pay off your mortgage with it, right? Which is something that fucking Lauren Boebert, I think it was Lauren Boebert. Was it Lauren Boebert? Or it was either Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene. One of those two, like, had some problems where they were taking campaign funds, like, and kind of like defrauding their own campaigns. Like, I think what it was Lauren Boebert put in like something like 32,000 miles drived during like in like gasoline, you know, and said like she used it to like pay for the gas for her cars and said that she drove 32,000 miles, which is like longer than like the distance of the earth. Like something like that in Colorado, like it's like what the fuck, stuff like that, right? And then I think it was either one of those two. It might have been somebody else. Like I read a story about a conservative House rep who like paid off their mortgage with their campaign funds. It's like you're not supposed to be able to do that kind of thing. You're supposed to campaign funds are supposed to help you only get elected. And the reason it's like that is because that's what it used to be like in the past, where so people would run for office with no intention of winning, just raising a shitload of money and then just fucking taking all the money home with them. And so running for office became a way of getting rich. And that's not how it's supposed to work, right? So that's why we have campaign finance laws like that in the first place. So that politicians aren't ripping people off and just running like a scam campaign so that they can like fucking defraud people, because that's kind of fraud. Like, and that was the thing that was a problem back in the past, where people would just, you know, have no intention of winning. They'd run the shittiest campaign ever, but they would just take all these donations and like enrich themselves, right? So that's why you're not allowed to do shit like that. And it's the way, and that's what got Trump in trouble, because he tried to write it off from his like the state charges related to this are because Donald Trump took that $130,000 and tried to write it off as a business expense. Right. So he gets his campaign to pay for it, and then he wants to take it off his taxes. And it's like no, you're not allowed to do that. So that's what the state charge is related to, right? So it's sort of a mix of like he broke federal laws, but he also broke state laws. And that's why, you know, That's why this is like the state district attorney going after his ass, right? So it's a little more complicated than what I thought last time. And but it's still true that if he just would have used his own personal money to pay for this, if he just would have got his own personal money, right, and didn't try to like do any weird shit to get his campaign to pay for it, didn't try to take it off as like claim it, anything like that. If he just would have gone into his bank account, you know, whipped out $130,000, paid off Stormy Daniels with it, he wouldn't have to say where that money went. That was this, if it was money that he already had, right? You could do what you want with your money. Doesn't matter. You could buy whatever you want. You could pay anybody for whatever you want. That would be perfectly legal. And it was the fact that he tried to like fucking defraud the state of New York is what that's where the illegal part comes in, right? The thing is that he fucking did it. Like, we have absolute proof that he did it, right? Michael Cohen went to prison for this. So all of the people right now, so you're seeing this sort of this backlash, right? And just go on Twitter if you're interested in seeing the cognitive dissonance that are coming from the right wing on this, right? Go to Twitter, look up Stormy Daniels' Twitter, and it's just one tweet after another of people calling her a traitor, calling her a whore, saying stuff like trying to blame her for it, saying, so you knew he was married and you had sex with him anyway, you know, you're a cheater, all this other stuff. And it's like all of the MAGA chuds were in denial over this fact that it's like, oh, well, no, their orange Cheeto dusted Messiah didn't do anything wrong. Oh, this sinful Jezebel, you know, used her the power of her sinful you know, lust and her you know, her giant fucking boobies and the power of her vagina in order to corrupt Donald Trump. Like, that's what they're trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? It's uncanny, and it's like all of these people forgetting that it's like, well, hey, it takes two to tango, man, right? You know, it's like, no one can I mean, you're the man, right? It's not like, what, did she take a gun out and put it to his head, force him to, like, fucking get an erection? Right? Like, is that what happened? Did she drug him and, like, have her way with him when he was like, no, that's not what happened at all. You know, he's the one who instigated this shit to begin with, so how the fuck is it her fault? You know, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe she shouldn't have had sex with him, but Stormy Daniels is, you know, she's a sex worker, right? A performer. So, and then they're also blaming her, oh, well, she took the money. Well, yeah, that's what she does for a living. What do you fucking expect? Right? And, you know, to be honest, if some fucking moron that I had sex with wanted to give me $130,000, I'd fucking take it. Why not? Right? I'd probably hold out for a little more if they were running for president. Like, how did you make that $1 million? Right? I'd fucking take the money too. Because to a lot of people, that's life-changing money right there. Right? And then, why does Stormy Daniels talk? Well, why did she break her NDA? Because people wanted to pay her more money, right? And you know what? If somebody wanted to give me $500,000 to break an NDA, where if I broke it, I would have to pay back $130,000, I'd fucking take that too, right? Because that's a great, you know, Stormy Daniels is a businesswoman, right? She's a businesswoman. She's looking out for herself, and God bless her. Good for her, you know, because, you know, I personally think the whole idea is bullshit. You shouldn't be able to legally force someone to not say anything in the first place, you know. The whole concept of MDAs to me is a load of shit to begin with. I really think that those things should be illegal, right? But anyway, that's just my own personal opinion. Because, you know, what are they? What are they? NDAs are just a legal way that you can force someone to shut up. And it's like, well, fuck you. How about you give me something and, you know, like, or how about you just don't do anything that will ruin your reputation in the first place? How about that? Right? How about you don't cheat on your fucking wife, Donald Trump? Donald Trump. How about that, dude? Right? Like, you know, you don't want people to ruin your reputation when you're about to run for president. How about you don't cheat on your wife? What about that? Fucking asshole. So, Anyway, I think the shit's justified, but whatever. So I wanted to show a little bit of some right-wing reactions of the MAGA chuds here. Because, yeah, here's the thing, right, folks? I'm surprised that we're not seeing more in the way of threats. Now I know that Alvin Bragg is getting threats. I know Stormy Daniels is getting threats. I know that there's been an uptick of those types of things. I personally thought it would be worse. And I thought we'd be seeing more in the way of second Civil War kind of threats, right? And we're not seeing very many of those. Not that I've been able to see. I don't know. Maybe there are some that I just haven't run across yet, right? I mean, and if you guys out there, if you have like any articles or tweets or anything of like, of butthurt MAGA chuds threatening to like, assassinate the president or something like that over this, send them my way. Because I was looking for that kind of thing and I couldn't really find very much. What I did see was a lot of sort of, you know, people in denial, right? And you know what? The reason why I think we didn't see too many of those, though, like too many like calls to violence. The reason why we didn't see so many of those, I think, is for a couple reasons. First off, I think a lot of the Trump supporters kind of got burned by January 6th, and they realized that if they go stick their neck out on the line for Trump, that he's not going to do shit to help them. I think they've kind of like gotten that through their heads now that hey, Trump is going to fuck us up if we went out there and protested and got and all that, right, and some of us got arrested for him. If that ended up happening, he's not going to do shit. He's not going to help us. He's going to let us sit there and rot in jail, just like all the other people that he like basically turned his back on when they stuck their necks out for him. He didn't do shit. He didn't pardon anybody before he left. He didn't do anything like that, and he hasn't offered jack shit in the way of legal help or representation, which is what he said. And remember, Donald Trump's a billionaire, billions of dollars, which means he could easily go pay for a shitload of lawyers and help all those people who've been arrested over January 6th. If he actually gave a fuck, he could do that, right? You know, he has all the goddamn money in the world, right? Did he do any of that? No. He went out and he campaign fundraised is what he did all throughout the whole January 6th thing and the aftermath after that, and all of the congressional investigation and the special counsel, like all that stuff. He was fundraising constantly, sending fundraising emails, and we're getting money for the defense fund, right? He didn't give any of that to any of the people who got arrested there. He just kept all that money for himself, right? All that money went to him or his future presidential campaign, right? So you have, tons of people just sitting there rotting in jail now, right? Some of them who probably could use legal counsel. Because remember, a lot of those people, all they did was just walk in the building and walk around, you know. Don't get me wrong, they're still traitors. I think they're all traitors. Every last one of them. They deserve to be in jail, right? But some of those people just walked around, didn't do anything violent, and then just left. And that's like, well, those people shouldn't go to jail. They should just like maybe go for like 30 days or some shit. And that's what the majority of the sentences were. There's only a very few, like the guy like Stuart Rhodes who's facing 60 years or something like that, or the other guy who stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Like those people got years and years, and good, fuck them, they deserve it, right? But all these other people, like they're still arresting people. It's not like the January 6th like investigation is over. People are still being arrested. People are still going to jail for that, and none of the money that Trump raised is going to help those people. And I really think that it's like, and I think that the MAGA chuds, the MAGA fucking assholes have realized that Trump's not going to fucking help them. So maybe that's why none of them showed up to protest, right? And none of them came to help Trump, when Trump got indicted. None of them went to protest there. And it's like, good. I'm thinking maybe like finally these fucking people have learned what happens when you when you try to help Donald Trump. The other reason, that's the first reason, okay? The other reason is I think that they sort of jumped the gun a little. And what happened was, so when Trump, like 2 weeks ago, said, I'm going to be indicted this coming Tuesday, and then it didn't happen, I think that really took a lot of the wind out of his sails, right? And I think people were ready to get pissed off, and then it didn't happen, and then they just went, right? And then now this, so now when they, a week later, when they indict him, a lot of people are like, oh, I thought that happened last week. Like, really. And, I think that kind of, yeah, like I said, took the wind out of the sails for a lot of the MAGA chud assholes, right? Who, you know, may have sort of psychically, like psychologically prepared them for the indictment. So that way they had time to think about it, and that way they didn't get violent, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Now there's calls now to go down there on Tuesday and protest. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene and shit is saying that they're going to do it. So that might be a problem. There may be some violence on Tuesday, right? But I think so far we're seeing like one of the best case scenarios so far, right? Leg looks all right, pretty good. My style here is very busy, right? I that's just my style. It's always very like very detailed and stuff, and I'm trying to like I don't want it to be too busy. Anyway, so I wanted to get a little bit of the reactions from some of these people, right? A reaction from some of the right wingers. Let me just go ahead and rearrange some stuff here. So this first one we're going to be looking at is from the Right to Bear Memes. This is on, let me turn on my window. This is on Twitter, the Right to Bear Memes, right? I thought this was interesting. Here's the link down in the chat. Sharing memes. Election interference. Arresting a political party's lead political opponent, not election interference. What is this all about, right? This is a story that came up. So this guy here, right, got 10 years for he got 10 years for posting a meme saying that you could vote by texting, right? Let me see if I can find it actually. It's let me see here. Let me find it exactly. Yeah, like see he posted a thing that said like vote next Wednesday or some shit like that, right? And then let me just see because I know I actually like okay, here it is. Now I think this is a right-wing site here, but we can get the general idea of what's happening, right? So I wouldn't trust what this site has to say too much, but post-millennial, okay. New York City jury finds Douglas Mackey guilty in first ever meme trial after making memes that disparage Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, right? So what did this guy post exactly? Let's see, did they going to give me the link to it? Was it this one? Show me what the goddamn meme is, you fucking idiots. No, fuck you. I just want to see what the meme that okay. Show it to me. Okay, was it this? No. It was, he posted a thing that said to vote on a different day. Rolling Stone, Mackey, posting stuff. Of course, they're not going to actually show what the fuck it was. That was merely attempting to go viral. Anyway, long story short, this fucking guy right here, right? He posted a meme that basically said like, vote on the wrong day, and then also said that you can vote via text, right? And vote via text and then show up on Super Wednesday, right? And he basically got 10 years, this dude on the left. He got 10 years for election interference, right? Because that is illegal. What he did is illegal, right? There's a very long history of this sort of election rat fuckery going back decades. And this is a tactic that you see all over the place, right? I even see it here. I found a flyer one time in my hometown that said, one of them said, it was in Spanish. There was an English and a Spanish part, right? And the English part said to vote on Tuesday and gave the correct time and place, and the Spanish side said vote on Wednesday and gave a wrong address. And it was a thing designed to fool people into not voting, to showing up the wrong day to vote, right? That is a time-honored tactic that goes back decades, right? That's what that guy did. That shit is illegal, all right? You're not allowed to spread misinformation like that with the aim of fooling your political opposition into voting on the wrong day, right? And one of the things you'll see if you look this guy up on Twitter, you'll see lots of people saying, "Well, here's an example of a liberal person who did it," and it's apparently some lady did the same thing. Yeah, throw her ass in jail too, please, because you're not allowed to do that, right? That's that sort of election tampering, that voter suppression is against the law. So that motherfucker deserves to go to jail for 10 years. He should have known that was wrong, right? Because, when elections are serious fucking business, right? People should be punished for breaking election laws. So, yeah. But, this meme, of course, is comparing this to the DA in New York City arresting a political party's lead political opponent. Well, here's the thing, folks. Yes, Donald Trump is the lead, but does he have the nomination yet? No, he does not. There is still a chance, even though it is a very small chance, that somebody like Ron DeSantis could get the nomination, right? So they haven't even decided yet. So it's not like we're going to arrest the guy that's running it, like Joe Biden is arresting the guy that's running against him. Like, that's not what's happening here, right? They actually haven't made him the official candidate yet. Number two, did Donald Trump do it? Did he do it? Did he break the law? Yes. 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 He broke the law. We know he broke the law. We have proof that he broke the law. They wouldn't have indicted him if they didn't have, in their opinion, a good chance of winning. Because that's the other thing, folks, right? If they don't think that they can get you, like if you're under investigation and if they don't think they have enough evidence, they won't arrest you. They'll drop the charges, right? They won't indict you if you're a white-collar criminal like Donald Trump. It won't happen because it's embarrassing to them if they do it and they lose, right? So, especially when it comes to an ex-president who has 35% of the country ready to fucking, like, throw themselves in front of a milk truck, like, in order to save him. 35% of the country who would smash their own testicles if you fucking told them to, like, right? Like, you better have proof. You better be ready to take it all the way. And if they didn't think that they could do it, they wouldn't do it, right? I mean, why do you think they fucking waited so long, right? I guarantee, and that's probably why, guaranteed they do. Are you absolutely sure we're going to win? Yes. Because if you do this and we lose, we look like fools and all of our careers are over. That's why he fucking waited so long. Like that, and also the fact that, like, it was going to, like, ruin the lives of everyone in his office anyway for the rest of the time. People are going to be fucking with him. He's going to be getting death threats for the rest of his fucking life. So that's the other reason why he didn't want to do it, right? But, so, yeah, he's definitely, that's fucking why. So, yeah, just to compare it, and I just want to show this, because in all of these discussions, all of these reactions that you get from the right wing here, they never bring up, the idea is like, well, is Trump actually guilty? Do we actually have evidence that he did it? They never bring that up. It's always, it must automatically be political to them, right? Oh, it's the evil fucking liberals bending the law to their will. It's Joe Biden directing Alvin Bragg. Get the fuck out of here, right? Because to fascists, the laws don't matter. Laws are simply tools for them to bend everyone to their will, right? And if a law is inconvenient, they'll break it, because when they break the law, it's not a crime. It's only a crime when you break the law. That's what it is. Want to show you guys another one here that I got. This is from Ron DeSantis, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. This is now from his official Governor Ron DeSantis official account here, 46th governor of the great state of Florida. The weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It is un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies and execute criminal misconduct, yet now he is stretching the law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in the extradition request given the questionable circumstances at issue with the Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor and its political agenda. First off, when they say Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney, that's bullshit, right? George Soros is sort of like the Bond villain from the right wing there. He's guilty of everything. He has all the power in the universe. Right? George Soros he's not even like the richest man on earth. He's a billionaire, yeah, but isn't Donald Trump also a fucking billionaire? How come George Soros is always like more powerful than an ex-president? How does that shit fucking work, right? Secondly, George Soros didn't back Alvin Bragg. What happened is that George Soros gave to a political group, and then that group donated to Alvin Bragg. Okay. So it's not like George Soros is calling up Alvin Bragg on the phone and giving him orders. Let me find exactly what it was. It was like the Rainbow something coalition group or some shit like that. Let's see, George Soros, Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg ties to George Soros, right? Oh, actually, wait a minute. What is it? Excuse me. So it was donations to a nonprofit called Made to the National Racial Justice Group Color of Change. So George Soros gave some money to this group called Color of Change, right? Which I don't know anything about them. Maybe we could look them up later, but that's not the point, right? Point is he donated to this group, and then that group donated to Alvin Bragg, right? So that's like saying that if Charles Koch, right, is he the one that's still alive with the Koch brothers, right? It's like saying that if he donates to a group, then that group donates to Ted Cruz, then Charles Koch is like in control of Ted Cruz. It's like saying that. And it's like, well, no, that's not true at all, right? I mean, here's the thing, right? Politicians and shit take donations from rich, powerful patrons all the time. That is a thing that is, I mean, that's how all the conservatives and Republicans make their money to begin with. That's how they get all their money. It's through powerful backers, right? People like Charles Koch, people like, God, what the fuck is their name? Mike Lindell, that's another one. That guy. The fucking... Although he's, like, losing his money quickly. Right? But there's dozens of examples of Sheldon Adelson. That's another one. Right? Super rich conservative billionaire backers who... That's where they get all their fucking money from. And they donate and control their pet politicians. So trying to say that, Soros is the one pulling the strings on this, that's a bullshit. Okay. Secondly, George Soros is like a boogeyman and also a dog whistle for basically fucking Nazis, is what it is, right? So every time you hear about, like, oh, George Soros is funding this, George Soros is funding that, like, that's fucking horseshit. And that's just basically a way that, like, Nazis and shit can, like, fucking, hide a dog whistle trying to say that Jews are controlling everything. Basically, swap out anytime you see George Soros, swap that out for Jewish cabal of space lizards, and that's what it is. It's a dog whistle for anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. So that's fucking horseshit. And the fact that like the governor of Florida is like giving nods to these conspiracy theories is fucking ridiculous. I mean, we already knew that DeSantis was a fascist to begin with. I mean, how much fucking louder can you give it? Last thing here, I really like here. Florida will not assist in the extradition request given the questionable circumstances. So basically what he's saying is that Florida is going to break the law because the law says that if there's an extradition request, then you have to cooperate, right? Because see, here's the thing. It didn't used to be like that way back in the day, right? Way back in the 19th century, you know, like fucking 1850 and shit like that. It used to be that the states were a little more autonomous when it came to that. And if you broke the law in, say, New York, you could flee to Virginia. And, like, the police, whatever police they had, because, you know, it wasn't really formalized at that point, they would have no jurisdiction, right? And so they would rely on bounty hunters and shit like that. What do you think those wanted posters came from in the Old West? Wanted. You know, and then dead or alive, shit like that, right? And it wasn't until that stuff was formalized in the 20th century where it became, okay, someone cannot hide out in another state, you know. And extradition request basically meaning that this guy's wanted, you know, he's got a warrant for his arrest in this state, right? And if it's for a high enough, like, you know, crime, the cops catch him in that state, then they find out that there's an extradition request and they have to send him back over there, right? So that's kind of, that's what the law is. So basically, Ron DeSantis is saying, I'm going to break the law in order to shield Trump, right? If that happens, Ron DeSantis should be impeached, right? If the order comes down from Ron DeSantis saying do not extradite Donald Trump, right, then Ron DeSantis should be impeached. That's breaking the law for his own political party. He's putting party over the law. He's putting party over the state, you know, over his duties as governor, right? He's using his position, right, in order to enact his own political agenda, in order to elevate the needs of his political party. Not just himself. I mean, obviously himself too, because he has designs on the presidency and he doesn't want to alienate Trump's base, right? But if he were to do this, if this were to actually happen, then that would mean that he is ignoring the charge of his office, right? The governor has to enforce the law. They don't have a choice, you know. So if he doesn't do that, he should be impeached. And it's like, if anybody out there was looking for proof, you know, if you want proof to show to, if you're arguing with your friends or your family, talking about how if these people are fascists or not, this is fascism right here. Right here. This is fascism. Right? Deciding which laws you're going to enforce. Right? Whether, you know, depending on whether they align with you politically or if they benefit you personally, that's fascism. Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.